Hello chess fans, today I'm going to look at a game I played around 3 years ago, and it really illustrates how you use that easy Nimzo Indian setup I talked about in a previous video, link in the cards, and how you can get really quick wins against basically much stronger opponents. So obviously we started with the Nimzo, so d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, e3, and this was the e3 variation, and I went for castles, bishop d3, b6. And as I discussed previously here, the way you're supposed to counter this variation is by going for the move knight e2. And then after bishop b7, you have the best of pretty much both worlds after you go for this f3 move. And you have the best of both worlds as you have the bishop here and you also have the knight here. For more clarification, check the cards. So instead, my opponent went knight f3, I went bishop b7, castles, and here I kind of, at this time I didn't know any theory, pretty much whatsoever. I was just purely playing on intuition, and I played a really just bad move here, but eventually we transposed, so I played d6, and d6 just doesn't really make any sense, because after the move knight e2, my bishop is actually trapped, and believe it or not, the best move here is d5, so yeah, very dumb, and pretty much inexplicable after c5, b takes a3, bishop a5, something like d takes and c6. As we can see, all of black's pieces are horrible here. White is pretty much winning, but at the time my opponent didn't know that, and they played this terrible move a3, which just makes my whole setup make complete sense. So I took, and here we transposed to basically what I recommended with the previous a3 takes, now d6. And now here, obviously, the best move should probably be, to continue with our setup, is the move knight e4. And then after f5, we continue with our setup. I went for knight b7 first. Does it make a big difference? Maybe, because my opponent can go knight d5, knight d2, and then after I would have to go e5 instead of knight e4. But my opponent went rook e1, and so we just pretty much transpose after knight e4, knight d2, f5. Notice my opponent doesn't want to take because then the file would be open. Queen c2. And here I have this really nice tactic, to be honest. See if you can find it. In the game, I missed it. And actually, I can't even tell if it's a tactic. It might just be a dirty engine move, but the move is a very astonishing knight takes f2. What? I don't think I would play this now. King takes f2, queen h4. And here if you go king g1, there's a killer move there. And that is taking the rook. Wow, shocking. I don't think I would have seen that. It's really hard to see that a rook all the way in their territory is not defended. And after king f1, something like e5 to threaten e4, or to open up more lines for the pieces to come out, to maybe go f4 too, or queen takes h2 and the position is equal, or e5 and black is better. So I didn't see that. I played knight takes d2, bishop takes d2, queen f6. The idea is to play here, but also I want to maneuver my queen to the queen side, or king side, sorry, and then after that the rook can come. And notice I don't play queen h4 because after g3 my queen's going to get kicked away, and if I go here there's this tempo, if I go here there's this tempo, if I go here there's this tempo, so my queen really has no home on h4. So my opponent went f3, I went e5, I wanted to get more space in the center, rook f1, rook a8, rook ae1, g6. And here I pretty much did nothing for the next few moves, because if I give you the position to white, what is white supposed to do? I'll give you a second to think about it. Some of you may be wondering, is this not just a fork after queen h4 attacking these two pawns? And in this position, actually, we don't really care about this pawn too much. For example, after a move such as rook d8, queen takes h7, and bishop c6, the queen is actually going to get trapped if it takes here. Notice that if it takes here, we have the move rook c8 and the queen is trapped. And the queen has no escape squares pretty much, so white is going to pretty much have to sack a pawn here after this move. So after b takes here, I don't really see any way for the black queen to get out without losing severe material. So instead of that, my opponent played bishop c1, which does nothing. And I went rook e7, defending my knight. There's no longer queen a4 threats. Queen f2, my opponent played this move for, I have no idea why. Rook g7, queen c2, so they just go back. So as you can see, it's really hard for white to find a good plan against this opening, and already black is much better from playing sort of just these natural moves. So I played g5, and here my opponent blunders, finally, a huge blunder with d5. And my opponent probably thought, oh, I'm blocking his bishop from being in the attack. Well, that doesn't matter so much as you gave me a beautiful outpost. And also, to attack on one side of the board, you need the center to be closed so that your opponent can't break in the center. Because if you're too exposed on one side and your opponent breaks in the center, you're going to lose the game because of how weak you are in the center. So by d5, my opponent closes up in the center and made my position very easy. I played f4, and here my opponent did me another very big favor. Here they have this nice outpost on e4 for their bishop, but they were like, I don't care about that. e4. I'm going to just completely entomb my bishop, entomb both my bishops, and make this knight an absolute monster. As we know, bishops are good in open positions, and knights are good in closed positions. So this is how you pretty much play against a bishop pair. Try to close it up. I played h5, bishop e2. My opponent doing nothing. Bishop g6, bishop d1. This literally does nothing. Knight f6, bringing my piece closer to the attack. King h1, king f7, just getting my king out of the way. Rook g1, and here I went for g4. There's a little bit of urgency here. Notice that if my opponent gets g3 off, I might be in trouble, as we can see later in the game. So my opponent went queen d3, bishop c8. I'm just getting all my pieces into the attack. They have zero counterplay on the queen side. Rook h1. And here, just take any amount of time you want. There's just a very easily winning move here, and it's probably like a 1500 tactic. It's not really a tactic, but just a very easily winning move here, a common King's Indian motive. See if you can find it. So the move is very easily winning here, and I calculated it for maybe like 15 minutes, and then decided it was too risky, was to go g3. And after h3, you might say, whoa, I don't really see anything here. Well, we have a very simple move. Bishop takes h3. If takes here, check, and after here it's mate, and obviously they can't take it because then that's mate. So they can't take the bishop. And here I for some reason imagined, I don't even know what I imagined. I imagined they had the rook e1 somehow, and then they take my bishop. Even if that was possible, I could just move my bishop back, and then after h5 here, it's just game over. This position is minus 20 for black, so very confusing as why I didn't play g3. I did see the move, so instead I played rook h8. Now I wanted to go here, and after takes here, no, now the rook would be supporting the h4, h5. Very stupid because white can't do anything, and now white can possibly play g3. They probably should play g3, but my opponent doesn't see it, plays bishop e2, and guess what? The best move? Oh, it's g3 again. So I played king e7. I was like, oh, I can wait. Bishop d2, and now I was like, okay, you know what? I really want to play this g3 move, but then my opponent plays h3, and I can still do that same thing. I was still hallucinating here, sort of mad at myself for that one, but I was like, oh, if g3, what if I had a queen on h4, right? Then after takes here, I'd just be completely winning. How do you get a queen to h4? You go queen g3. Extremely massive blunder. The position goes from minus 10 to minus 1.8. And see if you can find the move for white to pretty much save the game here. After this, it is an engine line for black to win, pretty much. So the move is, take your time if you haven't found it. Very important defensive move, g3. You can't allow the queen to get to h4, and you also are abusing this pin. Your rooks make perfect sense now. And at this point, I was really disappointed. So here, the engine line is to go with the move. I don't think anyone will ever guess this move. King d8. What? King d8 in the middle of nowhere? I'm baffled by this move. Instead, I went queen h6. So I could get some nasties along here. Maybe play h4. And here I was a little bit shocked when after takes, bishop d1. My opponent played bishop d1 here. I mean, I think natural enough is just to take and, you know, take the pawn. I mean, I'm not sure why my opponent didn't do this, but that's the best line according to the engine, and it's about equal. But instead my opponent played bishop d1. I played my other rook here, which is again, what? Why are you moving your rook there? And okay, let's just continue with the game. I went here. Again, this position is minus 4 if I played knight d7, knight e5. Now, whether I would have seen that, probably not, but queen g5, and now here my opponent e5, beautiful move. After takes, they win my queen. And let's just fast forward here. We agreed to a draw. And you might say, why are we agreeing to a draw here? And I want you to think about the evaluation of this position. Now, this video was mainly about the opening, but it's also how you have to never get too confident, because I kind of just underestimated, and I thought, oh, the game would win itself. And then here I ended up drawing this game, which was lucky because this position is now completely lost for black. So take your time, see if you can find the move that allows black. Or sorry, I was asking about the evaluation, but okay. The evaluation is completely winning for white. It's plus 5.5 according to modern engines. At the time, I think it said plus 3. after the game because this was a long time ago. And basically, white is just up a few pawns. Like, black pieces are all terrible defending, and this position would be completely winning for white. But I just offered my opponent a draw because I was like, okay, my opponent has been like -10 for like 9 moves in a row, and now they're winning all of a sudden. This is amateur chess. And so I thought my opponent would like to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and they agreed to the draw. So this was a pretty instructive game on basically how you use this Nimzo plan. How you go with bishop b7, takes, put the knight on e4, play this f5 move, and advance your pieces like this. So if you like this video, please remember to leave a like and subscribe. Check out the cards for my other Nimzo video, and I will see you guys in the next video.